If you rank different advocacy organizations, healthcare, women's issues, more money is spent through environmental advocacy organizations than any other sector. They're incredibly well-funded, over $1 billion a year in spend on staff, lobbying, at the state level, et cetera. I'll give you 3 great examples.
One of the least appreciated, but absolutely most essential components to building your solar business is the advocacy that goes along with the underlying policy to support the money that comes into the market, to support the legislation that wraps the market, to support the comfort of the homeowner, the business owner, the farmer who is guaranteed this project is gonna move forward. And I'm here to tell you that the most underutilized asset in the industry is the advocacy groups that want to work on your behalf and that you aren't allowing to partner with you. My name's Nico Johnson. I'm the host of the Suncast Media Zone here at the Midwest Solar Expo, brought to you by Solar Simplified. I'm joined by Jon Carson, founder and CEO of Trajectory Partners. And today we're going to talk about all of the work that he has seen in his career and how he can attest to the fact that this is an underpinning strength for any legacy building business in the solar industry. Jon, welcome to the show.
It's so great to see you, Nico.
It's great to see you as well, man. I really think that the last time we hung out was a taxi cab ride home from one of the SPIs.
Yes. 2015.
It feels like it was pretty far back.
Solar City.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. You've come a long way since Solar City.
I'm working with a fantastic team at Trajectory Energy Partners. I'm the managing partner now. We just sent a job offer out to our 40th employee.
Wow. That's amazing. I remember a young fellow on your team that I've mentored for many years, Tyler Morris, telling me, Nico, I've got this amazing job. I'm going to Trajectory Energy Partners. And I was like, yes, he's on Jon's team. This is awesome.
We are so excited to have Tyler. He is just a great example of worked in parallel industries and brought all these hard skills that we are now putting megawatts out on the grid with his, his
and
support.
Also just so earnest about doing the work.
Yeah.
And honestly, just a fervor and ambition. I wish that every team needs a Tyler.
Yes, we are very lucky to have one.
Absolutely. So you come from a grassroots organizing background, and the work that you did, I would say, is seminal for Solar City in helping take that grassroots work into the private sector. Could you talk about the partnerships that you've helped companies understand or realize that bring advocacy to life inside of the private sector?
Absolutely. I spent 15 years working in politics and advocacy and government, so my background was very steeped in working with organizations like the Sierra Club, NRDC, ELPC, local groups.
Yep.
My first time in the industry was at Solar City, and I'll never forget one meeting that I had where I was out in San Francisco and the top sales guy from the Massachusetts market was in the office, and I was just a couple weeks into the job, and I'm sitting down and I'm learning all about how that incredible Resi sales team was doing the job. And I said, so how do you partner with the Sierra Club? You know what his answer was?
Who's the Sierra Club?
That was his answer. And I'm like, wow. Because I know that they want to help us.
Yeah.
I know they want to help us achieve our goals.
Yeah.
So spent 2 years at Solar City, made a lot of those connections.
Yeah.
And at the founding of Trajectory Energy Partners was a real collaboration with the just incredible environmental advocacy network that exists here in Illinois.
Can I give a sense of the spectrum? To your point, most people in the front lines may not even know Sierra Club exists. But for the most part, if the Sierra Club exists, it's a thing out in San Francisco. It pushes a map. They publish a newspaper, sort of magazine. They advocate at a large level for our industry. But give a sense of the kinds of organizations that we really can have accessibility to. I think that accessibility piece is something that's missing from folks' understanding of how these organizations work.
Absolutely. I'll give you 3 great examples, but first I just want to start by highlighting how enormous this advocacy sector is.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Most industries have a trade association that they're a part of, and if there is an advocacy group, it's usually a group of consumers who are their watchdogs. We have, if you rank different advocacy organizations, healthcare, women's issues, more money is spent through environmental advocacy organizations than any other sector. They're incredibly well funded, over $1 billion a year in spend on staff lobbying at the state level, et cetera. I'll give you 3 great examples. First of all, no matter what county that you're in, working on a hard zoning case, there is probably a local environmental advocate who could be helping you if you would just ask.
Okay.
We once did a project down in Perry County, Illinois. We didn't know anyone there. Our typical labor friends had no contacts there. Called up the Sierra Club. They got us in touch with a guy named Billy Rogers, who by the end of 2 weeks, he'd got me a meeting with the county board chairman. He'd introduced me to all the right folks. So they're there in your local counties.
Yeah.
Second, they are, if you are in a state where environmental legislation is being considered, clean energy legislation is being considered, they are spending more lobbying dollars to get these bills passed than the industry is.
Oh, yeah.
And so getting to know whether it's the local Sierra Club chapter or NRDC or a local, many states have their own organizations doing deep, deep policy work. And then the third example I would say is there are national organizations like Bloomberg Philanthropies or Energy Foundation who are spending millions of dollars to advance this in your state and just building these connections. We don't natively speak the same languages. Most of them haven't worked in business. We don't have enough people in industry who work in advocacy. But those are 3 great examples.
Those are great examples. I remember when I was going down to Latin America a great deal for probably the first 3 or 4 years, I was just sort of grinding it out, trying to find local lawyers, local developers, trying to figure out, like, how do I navigate this landscape? And thankfully, I have a mentor that at some point came into my life, and he said, "When's the last time you went to the embassy?" I said, the U.S. embassy?" He said, "Yeah." You haven't been to the embassy?" I said, "No." And he said, "Did you know that there's an entire desk at the embassy that exists to connect you to local opportunities?"
Yes.
And my mind was blown. And literally my career at that point. And I guess I'm thinking about the problem is the lack of understanding of where connections can be made. Most people don't consider themselves natural networkers. At a local level, is there a kind of fundamentals, ABCs of how to tap into this network? Not everyone would feel that they're capable of, like, just reaching out to the Sierra Club. Are there any maybe tips that you would give folks on how to start their journey towards interacting with and finding advocacy groups that they can work with?
I would say first at the company level, if you're a company over 10 people and you don't have someone who used to work in the advocacy world, that's a mistake.
Oh, wow.
So as a company, this trend has really started here in Illinois. There's some fantastic people who've gone from the advocacy world into business.
Yes.
Some have gone the other way. So first of all, make it a priority at that level.
And we see a lot of that right now from SIA, from SEPA. There's a lot of folks that are seated in organizations that are doing that very work, as you say.
And then my second piece of advice is, first of all, the local county level, city level organizations are just very easy to find online.
Yeah.
They still hold in-person meetings. But for the love of God, do not show up for the first time when you have a problem.
Right.
Go find them, introduce yourself.
Find the well before you need water.
Yes, because that's not going to go well.
So we found this organization. We found maybe 3, 4, 5 advocacy groups or individuals. Describe for me how private and public partnerships in this way can work together. What does it look like for Trajectory and Sierra Club to interact on policy and legislation?
So first of all, I would say at the local level, the number one thing we work with them on is zoning. So getting their help on a local zoning case, and the give required on our side is to make some commitments that they want to see. You're going to plant pollinator-friendly ground cover underneath the panels. They might be a priority to them that you commit that it's built with union labor.
And the commitment is to Sierra Club?
We usually make it to the local group, but we include it in our zoning testimony so that it's on the record, and following through on that matters. Also, many of the most savvy legislators in a given state legislature probably are focused on climate issues and probably have local advocates who can introduce them to you. So they can also be a very effective avenue for connecting with those key legislators who are going to make the difference.
Yeah. Are there coalitions of companies in our industry that are themselves working on advocacy? Like there's the advocacy groups like Vote Solar and Sierra Club, but are there coalitions outside of the trade associations of individual companies that work together to do this kind of work?
The reality of what I see is that at the trade association level, it's not going well.
Yeah.
Our trade associations, there's a little bit of a lowest common denominator going on, a very singular focus on what the industry needs and wants. And I have unfortunately seen some tension there between our trade associations and the advocacy groups. So I think that individual companies are making those connections a lot more effectively.
Yeah. So a lot of people would just feel like, "Ooh, this is lobbying. It's icky." What would you say to them?
You're in the energy industry? I have seen
Wake
this
up.
over and over again. What are the top 3 most regulated industries in America? What? Pharmaceuticals, airplanes, and energy? Like if you didn't want to leave the tech sector, don't leave the tech center. Politics is how people make decisions without hitting each other with sticks.
Yeah.
And that is and our issues are always going to involve politics and policy. So welcome to reality is what I would say to them.
I love that. I feel like that's the headline. Politics is
How people make decisions
without hitting each other with sticks. Oh, I wish I had more time to dig into all these topics with you, Jon Carson, but it has been very enlightening for me. The introduction, I'm sure for many, to the idea that you have to advocate for yourself at every level. You have to be proactive. The takeaway for me is an organization with 10 or more people has to have someone coming from the advocacy world to speak internally that truth of how to partner with those advocacy organizations. And as you said, even at a local level, more than $1 billion available and willing and ready to deploy alongside you to ensure that your business succeeds. Because wake up, we're in the policy world. It is political. You have to get political. Jon Carson, you have always spoken truth to reality in that way and helped companies like Solar City and many other clients of yours in leading the way for our industry in knocking down barriers. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us here on Side.
And thanks for your great work, Nico.
I appreciate it.